Napoleon Bonaparte is remembered as a hero, a genius, the man who saved France. But history buried the bodies. He didn't build a nation, he turned Europe into a graveyard to satisfy one man's ambition. This isn't the legend you were taught. This is the cost history stopped counting. In the chaos after the French Revolution, France was exhausted. Kings were gone, the economy was broken, Europe was watching, waiting to strike. That's when Napoleon appeared. A young general, sharp, ruthless, brilliant on the battlefield. To a desperate nation, he looked like salvation. He promised order, he promised stability, he promised glory. What he delivered was something else entirely. Napoleon didn't rise through democracy, he seized power. In 1799, he staged a coup, not with votes, but with soldiers. France didn't choose him, he chose himself. Soon, newspapers were controlled. Opposition silenced, critics jailed or exiled. The revolution that claimed to end tyranny now had an emperor. Napoleon loved war, not as defense, but as policy. He marched armies across Europe relentlessly. Italy, Austria, Prussia, Spain, Russia. Each campaign was sold as liberation. Each one left bodies behind. Villages burned, cities looted, civilians executed. In Spain alone, guerrilla resistance led to mass reprisals. Entire towns were wiped out to maintain order. This wasn't freedom. It was occupation with a French accent. And while Napoleon spoke of equality, he quietly brought slavery back. After the French Revolution had abolished it, Napoleon reversed the decision. Hundreds of thousands of enslaved people were forced back into chains in the Caribbean. Why? Because sugar plantations made money, and empires run on profit. The revolution mattered until it interfered with power. Napoleon's wars killed between 3 and 6 million people. Most weren't soldiers. They were farmers, workers, children, men dragged into endless conscription, families shattered by campaigns that never stopped. France itself was drained dry, entire generations lost. And still, Napoleon wanted more. Then came Russia. In 1812, Napoleon marched the largest army Europe had ever seen into the Russian Empire, over 600,000 men. It was supposed to be a quick victory. It became a death sentence. Scorched earth tactics left nothing to eat. Winter arrived early. Disease spread faster than bullets. By the time the army retreated, fewer than 100,000 survived. The rest froze, starved, or were abandoned. This wasn't a tragedy. It was arrogance meeting reality. Napoleon fell soon after, defeated, exiled, then returned, only to lose again at Waterloo. When Europe finally stopped him, the continent was shattered. Borders redrawn, economies destroyed, millions dead. And yet, the myth survived. Today, Napoleon is remembered for laws, reforms, and strategy. But history often forgets the cost. He centralized power. He normalized mass warfare. He proved one man's ambition could drown nations in blood and still be praised afterward. Napoleon didn't end tyranny. He perfected it under a different flag. And that's why history calls him a hero. But the graves across Europe tell a very different story. Napoleon didn't just conquer with cannons. He conquered with systems. He rewrote the rules of Europe and forced millions to live under them. He created the Code Napoleon, laws that modernized France, but also strengthened his control. Freedom under Napoleon always came with a price: obedience. He built a machine of surveillance, a state that listened, a state that watched, a state that punished. And as the war spread, he demanded more men, more money, more sacrifice. Teenagers were drafted, fathers were taken from farms, entire villages lost their sons. Then came the continental system, his economic war against Britain. He tried to choke an island empire by choking the entire continent with it. Ports were sealed, trade collapsed, food prices rose, smuggling exploded, and ordinary people paid for an emperor's strategy. Even allies became prisoners. And when they resisted, Napoleon didn't negotiate, he punished them. That's why Spain became a slaughterhouse. That's why Italy and Germany lived under forced tribute. That's why Europe didn't just fear him, it grew tired of him. But across Europe, in silent fields, forgotten towns, and unmarked graves, millions left behind a different verdict. Not genius, not savior, just another emperor who mistook the world for something he could own.